Except I sound like a man. So I don't know how to feel about
Nah.
that.
No, you don't. You sound like you.
Oh, so
Just a
you're telling
little
me I
lower.
naturally sound like a man.
No.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. You're still not a contralto. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's great to know that I sound like a man. So that's hey. Hey. There we are. There we are.
Let's see. What is, let me see. Turn that on.
Okay.
There.
So, hello everyone. I am
Yeah,
just
hey everybody.
fixing some stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna. No, I don't like you there. Fine, you go up there. So people who are watching this are probably wondering like, what in the world is happening? Yeah, me just fixing Phil, so he looks, you know, normal
I need
on stream.
fixing. It's okay.
You same, same, same. I just realized that well, first of all, happy New Year's everyone.
Yes, happy New Year,
I
everybody.
hope that you guys had a wonderful and safe holiday season. So, yeah, what did you do, Phil? I know you had a bunch of exciting ventures.
Yeah, I, for my birthday, for my half century birthday, went to Scotland, well, England and Scotland. So that was lots of fun. Started in London, spent 2 nights in London,
Nice.
1 night in York, 3 nights in Edinburgh, and 3 nights in Inverness. And then one
Mm,
more night in London before we got to the plane.
that's cool. I
Yeah.
I actually had the opportunity to visit York. It's such a nice like off the path way to visit. Like
Mm.
not many people I know visit York.
Yeah. Well, actually, York is a huge tourist trap.
Really?
It kind of always has been. So, York has this, especially since Harry Potter, because so the Shambles has been turned into a bunch of from. It's gone from being a bunch of coin shops to being a bunch of Harry Potter shops.
Because when I went to York, it's like we don't get many tourists here, and I'm like,
Oh, they're
oh,
so full of crap. They have no. They obviously don't live in town.
uh,
Yeah,
okay,
my family grew up 30 minutes north of York. It is a tourist destination. Absolutely.
well then,
I mean, it's not like they're getting the same amount of tourists London is getting. Nobody's getting that, but I mean, personally I don't like big cities, so London isn't really my thing.
hmm
So I absolutely loved York and Edinburgh. I will say Inverness is very small, beautiful scenery. If you like hiking and scenery, Inverness is absolutely amazing, and the surrounding area is the Highlands. So it's Inverness is kind of the sort of city in the Highlands, like city meaning like I think it's something they said something like 80,000 people live there. So not exactly a big city, and but it's just really beautiful. And of course, Edinburgh is the touristy place
yes,
in
but
Scotland. Everybody goes
gorgeous.
to Edinburgh. Yeah, absolutely
Yes.
amazing. Most of us that go there spend most of our time on the Royal Mile and don't venture out, but that's the way it is.
Well, I ended up staying at Glasgow for like several days.
Yeah, my mom was born there. Still
Oh,
never
really?
been.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love Glasgow. John and I outside like Glasgow is like our second potentially place that we're going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Glasgow.
Hey, it's definitely different from when my mom was born and lived there. It was mostly slums back then.
Mm-mm. Sorry, my friend
Now it's
just
a
messaged
beautiful
me.
city.
Um, it's sorry. Not meaning to change gears here, but as we have been talking, I'm gonna see if I can. I'm just gonna so I can cover my friend's name. So
Okay.
for those that do not know, I live in California, and I just want to show
Yeah.
you the impact that my this is my friend's house right now. Um, Sorry, she just messaged me. Give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.
Window capture. Okay. I don't know if you. Oh, you can't see that, Phil. Give me 1 second. Let me
Oh,
screen
you're
share that.
sharing it in. Oh, you're
Yeah,
not
I'm sharing
sharing
it
it
in
here. You're sharing it
OBS.
in there. That's all
Sorry about
right.
that.
That's I didn't even.
There you go.
I could have just gone into Facebook to see it, so that would have worked for me too.
I just shared
Wow.
it on Zoom just now.
Yeah.
That's her
There's a
house.
lot of that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I've been getting unfortunate messages like that. I was oh no, I didn't mean to do that to you. There we go. I've been making sure like my friends like are okay and being safe because the main of the fires are indeed in LA County. Although because
Mm.
well, a lot of people don't understand like yes, the Palisades is the biggest one right now. Um on top of the Easton fire, I believe it's called.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's been like fires all over the place, ranging from even like Santa Barbara all the way to San Diego. And luckily, a
Mm.
lot of those smaller fires have been contained. But dude, I've been living in
Mm.
California for 20 years. This is the worst fire season that
Yeah.
I don't want to say that I experienced, but because it doesn't like, well, impact me like smoke wise, yes. But just seeing
Hmm.
all these pictures of like the houses that my friends, like my friends' houses being burnt down, it's just, it's mind blowing.
Well, I remember, gosh, it was, I don't remember if it was 20 something years ago, maybe. There was a wildfire in the mountains of California, and some of the towns, like there was one town I remember actually visiting and seeing a story saying that this town, if the fire goes X number of miles closer, this town will no longer exist.
Yep.
Because if it's in the mountains, they can't do anything. I guess they can't stop it, and the town just is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so for those that do not know the reason why we have these fires in it's more predominantly here in Southern California, we do have this weather phenomenon called the Santa Ana winds. And it's a powerful and dry weather phenomenon that significantly increases the risks of wildfires in California in general. And I've been reading like certain like news articles and stuff like that, just seeing what's being reported. I just want to say that it is not one individual person's fault.
Oh yeah,
This is
these
not caused
aren't.
by people. This is caused by weather, and no one controls weather, right?
Yeah.
So so what the Santa Ana winds do, since it's so powerful, like we were expecting, so often than not the gusts go up to like over like 50 miles per hour. That's
Mm.
norm. And there were reports that winds got up so high it's equivalent to a category 1 hurricane, just to
Yeah.
give those into perspective. And so how wildfires start, there's numerous of reasons of how they begin. This includes down power lines, campfires, vehicle sparks, etc. There are literally thousands of ways, which does include humans too. But
Hmm.
once these fires are ignited, the Santa Ana winds, they act like a blowtorch.
Mm-hmm.
And they spread the flames and starts creating these things called embers. And these embers is what makes containing a fire so difficult. And these embers can travel like just miles and miles and miles ahead, like of the fire, in whatever direction. So that's why we have a lot of fires, not just like one, or else that would be easier to contain if we just had one. And then since with the Santa Ana winds, they dry off the vegetation. And I don't mean just like crops and stuff. I mean anything that grows from the ground. It converts to fuel for the fire. So that's how and why you're seeing a lot of fires like in the news. And particularly, for those, and this is where I fall into this category, the smoke is just as dangerous as the flames. And the smoke, like, even though, yes, where I live is in a safer area, but we're still under the red zone. And that means that if we have to go out, we have to wear a mask.
And even that's not like
that's
guaranteed.
Minimal protection.
Yeah, like if I looked up Los Angeles, California, and pulled that up, and then went down to the air quality. Ooh, it could be worse. At least there's that. The air quality.
Hey.
It's a 159. It's a 159 in LA. I thought it was going to be over 200. This was my assumption, but they're saying it's 159, which is not.
It's not
healthy.
Great.
Not at all.
No,
it's not good.
That's
it's
why we
in
have
the
a lot
red.
of air
That's still the
purifiers.
red zone. There is like a purple and a brown zone that's above that and worse. And like if you're in that brown zone, you're, that's not good.
Not great. Yeah. So that's what's going on in California. That's how wildfires start. This is a thing that happens every single year. Please don't blame totally on humans. It's predominantly the weather.
Yeah, it's mostly the weather. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that humans can't. There's too much of it. You can't stop it. You can't just rake some leaves up.
It does help, actually. That's
absolutely. No,
that...
I totally get it. Keeping control and control burns, and it's possible California doesn't do enough control burns. I know living in North Carolina, there were control burns going on constantly to help to alleviate the possibility of that. And there it's less likely because humidity is much higher, and we don't have those kind of winds unless there's a hurricane.
Yeah.
So yeah, if a hurricane came through during a wildfire, that would be just terrifying. But it hasn't happened. That would be kind of like what's happening in California.
Yeah, it's that's why like whenever we like for those that live like say like in the forest area, so predominantly the Sunset Fire, which a lot of my friends in the Hollywood area had to evacuate from last night, and there's a lot of forestation over there. So like people that have homes around the area, they like as simple as raking the leaves, right, that fall like during this time of season. Those small things like that fuels fire. And if an ember just catches up, like that's it. It happens so quick. But one thing I did wanted to mention to my LA friends, which the Sunset Fire is getting better. It's now contained, thank God. The Palisades is still a massive issue. The picture that I just showed you is actually one of the results from the Palisades fire. So my LA friends, if you guys had to be evacuated, 211 LA or LA 211 paired or partnered with Airbnb. So if you had to evacuate last night, make sure you contact or dial 211 or visit www.211la.org, and you're able to stay up to a week for free, no costs, with Airbnb. So there is assistance out there. And if you know anyone that lives around those fires, please share that information. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yes, please and thank you. Now let's talk about something.
Luckily, federal help will come because somebody won't be in office in time to say no. That's my little other PSA about anyone who thought that was a good idea. I know some of you might be listening. I don't mean to offend, but I kind of do.
There is a reason in why I had to explain how wildfires work in California.
Yeah,
And
they work the same way
that
everywhere
it's
else,
not
by the way.
a person. Even though I'm not a fan of certain people in charge, I mean, there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
But respectively, I will defend a person when I know it's not their fault and they're being blamed due to both ignorance and stupidity.
It is. It's all ignorance and stupidity. It's all it is.
Which is,
I mean, and you know that these same kind of fires happen not only in certain political leaning areas.
yes,
They also happen in Tennessee.
and Texas.
Wait a minute, but Tennessee and Texas are leaning the other way. So why do the fires happen there? Because they must be doing it right. Well, it's nothing to do with that.
It's just
it's
weather
nothing to do with
phenomenon,
common
guys.
sense. It has nothing to do with that. They happen. Sometimes they're arson. Most of the time they're not.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as it's dry, lightning
windy.
hit, there wasn't enough rain, and boom, and there's a fire, and then nobody sees it, and it's too late by the time you do. And then there's a big wildfire. They happen all around the world. Canada gets wildfires that makes the California ones look little.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what happens, and it's natural. It's natural. It's nature. These wildfires, when there aren't people involved, and yes, I hate that it kills animals and plants, but
and
they are
humans,
natural.
like
and
all
it kills
living
you.
beings.
It does. It's terrible. It is a natural phenomenon, and we are always trying to help mitigate these kind of things.
Yeah, there
best
are
we
small
can.
things that we can do, but not saying that regardless, no one should. If let me rephrase this, everyone should listen to the science of why things happen, so we can avoid tragedy.
Yeah.
And even though that these natural phenomenons happen throughout not just here in the state or North America, but around the world,
Yeah.
this is the time in where we just have to be around together.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, but on the good note, we actually have something fun to talk about.
We do?
We do.
Is it video games? Is it
No!
skiing? Is it... Oh, I thought it was...
Geek.
Board games?
No.
Do that.
We're not talking about VR in education yet.
Ooh, VR. Yeah. We should both get VR headsets and have... No, they're so expensive. That
They
would
are.
be a cool
They
way to
really
have this.
truly are. With that said, I was able to try one from a private school not too long ago, and it's trippy, but I'm telling you, in the next 10 years, VR is going to be integrated even more so in education, because there's so many private schools that are implementing both VR, virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality, into their curriculum, into their lesson plans.
Yeah. I still think VR, just from knowing the history of VR, it's going to still be 15 to 20 years. The only reason I say that is cost. It hasn't come down much, and it hasn't come down enough for everyone to have access. And Apple isn't helping by making theirs like, I don't know, $1 billion or whatever it is they set it at.
Well, they do have an educational discount on their behalf. Not much,
Yeah,
but it is.
an educational discount that doesn't help anybody who doesn't have lots of money. Like it's just hilarious.
Playing devil's advocate
Yeah,
here.
the one that Facebook makes, that Meta makes, I forget what the Meta.
Yeah, it was like the
makes.
metaverse or something, or no, that's the thing.
Yeah, whatever one they
it's
make,
called.
the headset, because theirs is like the number one because it's the cheapest and it's still a few hundred. So
Yeah, and you still
it'll
get
get
half
there
a
though.
body.
It will get there, and it has to improve a lot because some people can't wear them. Not, I don't mean they're like people that are blind. I mean, obviously, like if people have like issues with VR, sometimes people just can't wear them. Like some
Yeah,
people
because
can't
it
go to
can
3D
cause,
movies.
especially like for those that suffer like seizures and stuff, or
Yeah.
any other like underlying medical conditions. They can be triggers.
Yeah, so that's why it has to improve. That's why I say 15 to 20 years, because there's medical reasons mostly, not just cost reasons.
That, or we just have to find
So-
alternatives. So, anyways, time
Anyway.
management. I love this
Yes,
topic.
time management. It is a good one. Well, and it's interesting because, there are a lot of people I follow, and I'm Instagram or Facebook friends or both with somebody who he has a business where he specifically targets like helping music educators who are overworking themselves and working 60 hours a week and can't pay bills.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And we have to, time management is so important. My most important part of time management is your fun side. I don't know if you were thinking like your work side. We could like take both sides of that. 'Cause
Actually, time management includes
both sides
both.
of that are important.
When done
It does.
properly,
It does include both.
It integrates both. So my channel, my personal channel, I have I've been transitioning it into time management, productivity for both work professionals and students. So when you mentioned time management, I giddied.
Yeah, it's
Squeal.
so important. You have to, you just absolutely have to. If you find yourself in front of your computer 60 hours a week,
We need to
got
talk.
to stop. You've got to get away from it. You have to get out. And let's say you aren't, and you're like, oh, well, no. I mean, I teach people, but I teach them in person 40 hours a week, and then I'm in front of my computer 20 hours a week. That's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really shouldn't be. Now I get it. Let's hypothetical. You are a K through 12 music teacher, and it's December. If you absolutely when you're in front of these kids, you know that you're spending more time than every other educator. I know for a fact that's the way it is. Like, that's why when I was getting my degrees, I was just like, I'm either going to be a performer, private teacher, or a math teacher. There is no way I will ever be a public school or private school music teacher for that reason.
Yeah, because
Some people
the
love it,
lesson
though. Some
plans
people-
and grading and oof.
Well, and the extra stuff, it's not that. They have time outside of school that they're spending that other teachers don't have to do ever. If you're a language teacher in school, if you are a math teacher in school, you don't have to spend time after school unless you're doing it just for extra money.
Oh, with this day and age, you're definitely doing it after school because you have to.
You shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't have to. But that
because
is
those
the
kids
case
should be
right now.
studying at home, and if you're tutoring them on the side, that you should be getting paid for that.
Yeah.
If you're doing stuff after school and outside of school, music teachers don't, because that's a part of the job.
Yeah, and it's not just
and
music
that's why.
teachers. It's like it's all teachers that experience this. Sorry, I'm getting like
See, it shouldn't be,
flashbacks
because I've
here.
never even heard of that. I don't know. That shouldn't be happening at all. I know people who are like science teachers, math teachers, whatever. When they're not in school, they're not working
Yeah,
unless they're
no.
getting paid for it.
Yeah, no, no.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And with music teachers, they can't do that. So if you
All
absolutely
teachers.
love doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. But you do have to figure out a way to make sure that your personal stress level and your fun time exists. It has to.
Yeah, no, it
So
really
yeah.
does. And and it like balancing with all the tasks that we have, whether it be like
Mhm.
we're teachers at a school or if we're tutors, we're still all balancing lesson planning, grading, administrative tasks,
Mhm.
tasks that involve, if you're an entrepreneur owning your own tutoring business, you have those administrative tasks plus the marketing, and you're just juggling. And if we do not learn how to
Mhm.
balance those, that equals anxiety, stress, overwhelm, frustration, no personal life. Totally
Yeah.
not talking from experience.
Yeah. Exactly. You do have to it and so what we got to what you have to figure out is how do you manage this stuff? And I know that Rosita and I probably have completely different, I might have completely different ways. Someone else might have another different way to do this.
But that's
And
the
of course,
beauty
there are
of
a
it. They're
lot of
different
ways you can do
methods.
this. Exactly.
So like my way, what at least, or not say my way, but what helped for me, may not work for someone else. You always want to
Mm,
find a method that works best from you. If you're introduced if you're introduced an approach, go ahead and modify it that works best for you.
yeah.
So, absolutely. But one of the things, if I may, is doing smart goal setting. Have you heard of that before?
Sounds familiar.
Okay.
Sounds really smart.
It
I'm sorry. That was bad.
Sorry, we're okay. Okay. So what the smart goals, it helps you to organize your goals and set realistic goals. And one of the things is that it also helps you prioritize too, because there's that temptation in where you want to do everything at once just to get it over with. So, what the SMART goal method does, it's actually an acronym.
Yes, it is.
So, we have, I'm going to see if I can write it down here. Work for me. Work for me, please. There
Here we
we
go.
go.
I bet I can do it.
Huh?
It's let's
Specific.
see. Does it show up? Oh, it sort of shows up. It's not very good. You can do better than me. You do it better. I was gonna write it on my screen, but I would have to change my background screens.
Okay, well, I'm
So
writing
I
it
can.
into the group chat so everyone can see. So, oh, mother of macaronis.
What
Okay,
is it?
that should work. There we go. Please work. Yes.
Relevant. I was like,
Okay.
what is the R word?
So, S stands for specific. So, your goal of what you want to do that day should be clear and well defined. So, we want to ask, okay, what do I want to achieve? Why is this goal important? Who is involved here? That is so cool. So for
There
an
we go.
example, like instead of saying I want to improve my teaching, right? We
Mm,
want to say, okay, I want to incorporate 3 new interactive activities into my weekly lesson plans. We want to be specific so we know exactly what we need to work on. And then this will define our tasks. Then the second, so M stands for. I've been reading a
Measurable.
lot of books, and the biggest one is called "Building a Second Brain." So I have these notes on hand because I'm talking about this book in my channel.
Okay.
So measurable. So you need to track your progress and measure the outcome. So ask yourself, how will I know when I achieved this goal? Because sometimes just checking that list gives you a great visual, but the visual may not match the emotion. So, how will I know when I achieve this goal? What metrics will I use? So, for an example, increase student engagement by 25% based on survey feedback. So, if you own a tutoring business, you should constantly be gaining the feedback from not only just students, but from parents or school districts, teachers, and more. This will help you set those goals. Sorry, I know I totally took over.
No, you do. You're doing good. You're doing good. I like the measurable one too, and it's like Rosita just said. It's important to not. I mean, how do you measure that? And in certain businesses, it's easier to measure than others. So, like she said, you need to get feedback from people, and that really helps you to measure it.
And this
And
is
the next one is really important too for all of that.
achievable.
It's the easiest one to think about. I think.
It is the
Can
easiest
you
one to
do
think
this?
about, but it's the hardest one to execute.
Well, making something achievable, and the way I think of that is like in the same situation. Say you're teaching a group class, and these kids are all like straight 100 students, and you want to improve grades. Well, why? That's a ridiculous example. Make sure it's something that can actually happen based on either them or you or both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
not
have
something
to
ridiculous.
set, like, we have to be real, like, with ourselves. What can we do to make sure that it is achievable? Not what we hope
Yeah,
that it's going to be
yeah.
achievable.
It's like a dog trainer saying, I'm going to make Rosita's dog a guard dog.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do compare Estrellita to be oh shoot, what is that Pokemon? But it's the Pokemon that does the lick attack.
Oh, okay.
She's a
Yeah.
licker. When she likes you, she will lick your face off.
Cool.
Especially if you wear makeup. She loves that too.
Yeah, dogs are weird.
Yeah. So achievable should, like, the goal should be realistic. It's good to have that big dream, absolutely. But we have to set the goals that you're able to achieve now to hit that big dream goal. So we want to ask ourselves, okay, can I realistically accomplish this? Do I have the tools and or skill sets needed? And if I don't, what do I need to achieve this goal? And it's, well, we're going to get into that. That'll be the T in a second. It doesn't matter how fast you accomplish your goal. What matters is that you accomplish it.
Right.
So, for an example, dedicate 30 minutes daily to learning a new educational app. For an example, that's achievable, and that will help you get into your actual goal. Then, number 4, relevant. And this actually is this is actually a blog topic that I wrote for our song, and also a newsletter coming soon. So relevant.
This is a harder one than it sounds.
It's
I think because I probably have a different view on it than you do, and someone else would too. It's like
it's
my view
open
is
to interpretation. Not gonna
yeah.
lie.
Unfortunately, this one's like non-specific.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. I
Yeah.
just realized that our podcast is under the kids on YouTube, so just give me 1 second to fix that.
Unfortunately, this one's like
Hey, edit. It's a cafe. There we go. Done. And then, no, it's not made for kids. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so relevant. The goal should align with your broader objectives and values. So this could be that big goal. Now, when I mean by big goal, I don't mean like your lifetime goal. That's just one of the big goals that exists. This could be the big goal that you want to accomplish throughout the week, like knocking off class B's grades from their project. So we want to ask, does this goal matter to me and how it matters to you? Be real. Is it aligned with my career or personal growth? So an example of this, so if we're talking about grading, we want to develop strategies to reduce grading time, right? Allowing more focus on student interaction, or have a life after school, or not grade things after school. And then lastly, time bound, T. Give me 1 second.
give yourself a date to finish some part of this.
Yes, have a
Not the whole thing necessarily. You can, but give yourself time goals. You don't just say I'm going to finish the whole thing by X date. And if some huge goal and you're like, and then a week till then comes, and you haven't done anything yet, because that's the date. You don't have to start yet, right?
Yeah.
So, make little goals.
Yeah,
to getting
make
there.
small goals to hit your big goals. Again,
Like when are you going to start?
be realistic.
That's a goal. That is a time goal. What day are you going to start doing whatever this thing is?
And just to add to that, like when you set your deadline, your goal should have a deadline to create urgency and focus. So many of us, we access our ability to focus a little bit differently. So some people work better when they have that urgency, and some people don't. Right?
Right.
They need like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about time bound here, you want to ask, when will I achieve this? What's my timeline for progress? So for an example, complete a course on classroom management within the next 3 months. So if you are an educator watching It's a Cafe, which thank you. A smart goal might be, by the end of the semester, that's time bound, I will increase student participation, that's being specific, by 20%, which is measurable, through implementing interactive tools like Kahoot or Zoom breakout rooms. This is achievable to foster engagement, or to gain engage, or to maintain engagement in my virtual classroom, this is relevant. So I'm going to write this down. And by utilizing, I'm adding this to the chat, guys, so you can look it up afterwards. There we go. There we go. Okay. So the reason why I love this method is because it ensures clarity, accountability, and motivation. And it is a highly effective tool for not just for work goals, but also personal goals as well. So yeah, so definitely having SMART goals helps with that time management.
Yeah. I can give examples of students or students' parents, let me be more specific, who have goals for their child. And that goal as a teacher, I know from knowing of that student that that goal isn't going to happen. And even using something like this, this is the best way to figure out, like, is it going, the specific is they want to, let's say they are a language learner for Rosita's here. So say Rosita's student is a language learner.
Okay.
And they're able to maybe remember about 5 words a week.
Which is
5 new words a week.
okay.
Which is okay, absolutely,
Which is
because that would be
okay.
what that's the kind of learner I would be. And then the parent comes along and says, you know what? We're going to be going to Spain this coming summer. And I would like my child to be completely conversational in Spanish, well enough to be able to, do everything, not just order food and ask directions, but to be able to understand everything that's said to them and respond to that within the next 4 months. And then so the thing is you can do that using these goals, except you also have to remember that you have to go, if you're a teacher, you have to go to that parent and say, okay, that is great. And tell the students, like, this is a great goal, but to achieve that, to make it achievable or attainable, 5 words a week is not going to do it. You have to study for, let's figure out how much time per day you have to study by yourself. Do you have anyone who can speak the language besides the teacher that you can talk to? That's a part of the achievable, attainable part is, do you know anybody that speaks that language? Because if you don't and know your teacher, when you go to Spain, it's going to be hard. Same thing goes for music. When I have students and parents, it's like they say they're doing an exam prep and I've been teaching them for maybe 2 years. And this happens all the time. This is not any specific students. This happens constantly. It's like, okay, we really want to start achieving. So we want to be able to do ABRSM or RCM or Trinity, grade 5, level 5 by next year. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see where you are right now and how much you've achieved up to now. And then I'll say, based on what I know, you have to do X amount of practice per day. This is part of the specific and measurable side. And if you can't do that because if you're too busy, because high school students are all too busy to do an hour of practice a day. And when I say a day, I don't mean 3 times a week like an exercise. I mean 6 days a week. And I'm being nice to say you get 1 day off. And usually that 1 day is our lesson day.
You have to be
Every
realistic.
single day. Every day. Language is the same way. You can't just practice it 3 days a week. You can, and you will get somewhere, but you won't be conversational by summer. You got to practice it every day.
With that,
or you will
yes,
forget things.
you definitely have to like at least 5 minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes,
Yeah,
just to
do
spend like that time
something.
for reviewing because consistency is key, and that's also
Mm-hmm.
working your recall memory when learning not just vocabulary but also sentence structures as
Yeah,
well. And this also brings me this is actually this I promise you this segue is great. There's
I
this
like it. Okay.
book. And
Was it written by you?
no, it was not written by me. It
Oh.
was written by
Oh, okay.
someone 5,000 times better.
Okay.
Okay, his name is Tiago Forte. He wrote a book, How to Build
His
a
last name is Loud. I
Yes.
love it. Well, I know. If it's a Spanish name, it doesn't mean that, but still, I'm going to
But
say that.
it's
I love it.
so he wrote this book, How to Build a Second Brain. I've read this book not just once, not just twice, but 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And because the thing is that when it comes to time management, our time management gets impacted by the information that we take in, right? And we have, even though we try to organize, doing, okay, I have not updated my monthly planner because I have the weekly planner. I also have my daily planner right over here. Just to organize like the tasks, and for the record, you don't have to go that far. Just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
But the book is a productivity method. I cannot pronounce this word. Method. Help me, Phil. Methodology.
Methodical?
Method.
Meth- meth- Methodical?
No,
Not
methodology.
mythology.
Methodology.
Methodology. Oh, oh. Ooh, a
Methodology.
proven method to organize your digital life and unlock your creative potential.
Tee. Yes.
I can read. That's the only reason. I pulled it up. I pulled it up. I found it. Building. Well, there's two. He wrote two. They're like the same book. Building a
The
second
Potter
brain and how to
method.
build a second brain.
I
Oh, and
have
a
it.
third version. Okay, they're all the same book though, I think.
Yeah,
So.
this is an extension to one of
Oh, got it.
the core principles that he talks about. And this again, this does impact time management. So it's like unlocking the information. So he talks about creating a digital brain that captures, organizes, retrieves ideas, insights, and one thing, resources as well. So it allows you to focus on the creativity on those tasks, and it also helps you with decision making rather than constantly like hunting for the information. And as an educator, well, more so as an entrepreneur, but it does help as an educator as well. When I put all like the knowledge I have into like Notion, I'm able to reuse that information. I know where things are, so I'm able to actually complete my tasks faster than I would do this manually or try to remember it all. And that's not the best way of doing things. He mentions in the book how your brain is not meant to store all the information. It's used to act on the information that you're given.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. So he talks about 4 core principles. One, capture what resonates. So we focus on saving the information. So like your students' names, for one. Information that either stands out or feels useful instead of saving everything. Do you need to know their birthday? Would it be nice? Yeah, but is it necessary? No. So this involves identifying knowledge that could serve you in the future. And then this is also another acronym. Let me write this down. Hold on. I also like I write reading notes because again, memory sucks. And then he talks about organize for action, and this is where the PATA method comes in. The PATA method really helped me organize for my businesses. So to organize is to help you create a system that supports the active use of your notes, your ideas, and your tasks, making them actionable and easy to retrieve. Then we distill the information, which means you're extracting the most valuable insights. So this helps you of this helps you avoid being overwhelmed. I'm not going to
I'm
go
looking
through.
at his acronym for para, and it's neat, except that I would never be able to remember it because it doesn't make sense. Can being honest.
So in
I'm looking at it online because project, it says short-term efforts in your work or life that you're working on now. I'm like, I don't even understand how the word project or project relates to that. So I probably have to read it to understand it,
Yeah.
I
Well, you
guess.
won't need to because I'm making a little series based on this book on
Okay.
my personal channel. So,
Yeah.
and then also
It's
because
weird. So maybe there's something I'm missing. I'm not getting it.
no worries. So everything that we do, so like every like the big goal, right? I translate that as a project. So for an example, like again, grading class B's project. That is the big goal for me that translates into a project. So this tells me, okay, what do I need to do? What are their tasks involved to get
Okay.
that project, that big goal done? And what resources that I need? What like what resources do I need? What formats? Is there information that I used in the past or resources that I used in the past that I can recycle to make to accomplish that project, that goal faster? So that's what he's referring to. Projects are the big goals that you want to achieve. Their current active tasks or goals. And areas he refers to like the responsibilities. As for resources is the information or references that will help you achieve that project and that you can recycle for the future. And archives, he explains it, okay, not started, like the task you have not started to achieve that project, that goal. In progress, you're currently working on it, or and achieved. You
Got
did
it.
it
Okay.
already.
That one makes sense. Yeah.
So that's what the essentially the whole PATA method is. So it's I really recommend this, especially if you have a
Yeah, it
neurodivergent
sounds like
disorder.
actually it's different, but it's a similar concept to the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes,
This because Seven Habits book has been out since the 80s, I think.
forever,
I believe the 80s.
and it's such a good.
I read it in college. Every music student was required by some professor to read it at some point.
It's so
And
good
it's
though.
great. And it is really a great one because and it, of course every book now you notice that a lot of these books that sell well they like the 3 steps, the seven steps, the 4 methods, the five. It's like this is fine. It's all just ways of helping you to organize yourself. You don't and this is one thing, you don't actually ever have to do it in these number of steps. You can modify things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems I have personally is when somebody says it takes these specific steps, I'm like, my brain's just going to shut off. I'm like, nope, it is literally never going to happen.
Yeah, because everyone is
Like,
different.
yeah. So if I have, like, when I was in high school and I was doing a concerto competition, I had one step: practice 3 hours a day. That was it. 3 hours of practice every day, 7 days a week for 2 months, so that I could do well and win a competition. It didn't require any other thinking. That's what worked for my brain. So you can modify things like for whatever it is. If something just goes, oh my God, that sounds like way too much, whether it's the para method, the 7 highly effective habits, or the
Atomic habits.
however many temptations of a CEO. I forget how many that is. There's lots of there's those.
There's so
Those are
many.
important too. If you run a business, um, hold on. Let me figure out what it is.
The daily
Temptations
life of a no. What's it? The
of
daily.
a
Wait, what's the book I'm
CEO.
reading?
The Five Temptations of a CEO.
Mm.
I haven't actually read it. That's a really important one for if you are running a business. Um, there are some really important things in there, and I'm talking important things that people who are billionaire CEOs don't follow, and they may succeed, but doesn't make them better people. No, it does not. It's a super important book to read if you're in charge of people.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's it's an oldie but a goodie. Well, it's not that much of an oldie. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear,
Hmm.
and he just talks
I've
about
heard
like
of that. I've heard of that.
it
So
is.
I don't know.
It's also so with Atomic Habits, it talks about like how to improve in your habits, and this also works on time management as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then
Hold on,
I
I
gotta
have
look
reading notes on this too.
one up. I gotta look one thing up because there's another book. This is not business related that I think is an incredibly important one. It's called The Four Agreements. I was trying to remember. Oh, by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Neat.
Related to everyone with that last name, right?
Yeah, sure.
There's so many people with that. No.
Actually, Ruiz is not
So
that common.
it's
So
not. See, you might be, and you might not know. They're like, "Hey, Uncle Don,
I actually funny story.
you have an Uncle Don, and he's an
No,
author."
I don't.
Oh,
No, I was in Guatemala and a doctor came to visit my mom, right? And then he was doing a checkup on me as well. Little did I know, I found out that we were actually cousins.
cool.
Like
It happens. Yeah.
it does. It does.
It it's
You-
weird, but it does happen.
It does. It's like you're wait, we're family? What? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like the four agreements are it's like agreements with yourself,
Mm.
and they are so this is the interesting part to me. They are impossible to achieve all the time. This is why they're so important. You you will not always achieve this. And what I try to do with this, if I remember to do this, is pick one and every morning say, I'm going to do this. One of them is be impeccable with your word. Are we always that way? No. Do we think we are? You already lied and you didn't follow it if you said yes, because there is no way you always are. It's not possible. You might think you are, but it isn't possible. You have to try your best and be constantly thinking about it. And then don't take anything personally. Some people say, oh, I don't. Yes, you do. Trust me. Yes, you
To a
do.
certain degree.
And when you find yourself doing that, just realize it. And the book talks about it. Read the book. It's tiny. It's I have it somewhere in the house. It's not if it was on this bookshelf, I would show it to you. But when I say tiny, it's like this big and it's like a little tiny book. It will take you like a day to read, maybe two. Um, don't make assumptions. I do that all the time. You know what that person was thinking? No, and neither do you.
Unless if you're a mind
And
reader.
then, yeah, and then the last one, like always do your best. Oops. It's so simple, and it helps us to realize like the things that we are or are not doing, and to just help to improve ourselves. If you're able to just stop yourself doing something negative once a day, you've helped yourself so much, and it can help you with your time management just by realizing that you being impeccable with your word goes to don't be a yes person for one thing. Like don't say I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I've got time. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have time. When I was in college, will you be my accompanist? No. That was my answer. No, I
Yeah,
won't.
know how to
Why
say
not?
no.
I don't want to. Like, and you know what? I would lie and not be impeccable with my word and make up some excuse. I needed to just be like, I don't want to accompany anybody. I should just been honest. It's like, yeah, but it's easy. I don't care. I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just being honest is so important. And on their side is not taking it personally. That's on them.
Yeah.
And realizing it's on the other person.
Our mentality and our behaviors impact what we want to get done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Hey, you
that's
know what? I've got a thing that I'm gonna start doing again myself. This is good for my own time management. This is a Reiki thing. So for anyone that doesn't know what Reiki is, you can look it up. Reiki.
I.
Yes. I have to do this when I'm spelling. Is that weird?
No. Guilty. Please let us know in the comments below.
Reiki.
Do you air right?
And not even air right. I just go, this is the letter, this letter, this letter, this letter, this letter. Is like, you don't have to even make something specific. You just say, just for today, I will. And it could be, make it something very positive for yourself. And attempt to achieve that one thing. And I don't mean just for today, I'm going to practice for 3 hours. I mean, something good for yourself.
Yeah.
Just like, just for today, I will do something nice for someone. I will say something nice about someone. I don't know, whatever.
So, like along
So
those lines,
important.
so I have a weekly planner, right?
Yeah.
So I put like what I would like to do that day or like the things I actually have to do. But my to-do list is things that I want to accomplish that week. Don't judge me by my rating. Um because I know it's okay if I don't get that task done today, right? I can do it tomorrow. This is why prioritization is so important. So if there's things that that I know I need to get done that day, then I'll add it on that day, like add the rug or take down the Christmas tree. Um, and then for the others, like, okay, I can do it any other day as long as I get it done this week.
Yeah.
So
That's perfect. And I would suggest so for anyone, because I mean, I'm really bad about writing down a list of things that I need to do, but
reminders.
is to add something for yourself in
Yeah.
there. Like two things, one thing for yourself and one thing for your health. And that can be something very simple, like go for a walk or eat lunch. Be like, I don't have time for lunch, or I'm not hungry. Yes, you are. Eat.
Yeah. And that's where the Pomodoro method actually incentivize.
Incentivizes
Thank you.
something like that.
Words are very difficult. My brain is working faster than my mouth.
It's the
So
smoke.
this is just
You're
me.
high
This is
off
just
of yeah. You're high off of that California grass. Smoke. Just kidding.
no. I'm just me. Yeah.
See? Exactly.
Words. Um, I was gonna say the Pomodoro effect. So this is like a method that I recommend my students, and what that is that you work or you study or you do that particular task for a certain amount of
Mm,
time, and then you take a break. So usually it's 25/5. So 25 minutes focusing on that
mm,
task or doing that task. Then you take a 5-minute break. Then you do that in total 4 times. And then you have one really long break. And then you do it again. And for that 5-minute break, that could mean like just go outside, get some vitamin D, walk around the house, grab a snack, make some coffee, a tea, a cocktail, whatever it may be. Um, snuggle with your dog.
mm.
So you can because your brain needs to relax.
Yeah,
It's
this
not
is important. I
healthy
you know what's
to.
funny is like this works for music. It's interesting, and I know this from my practice, and I know this from my students' practice is repetition is really really important. So there's a point where repetition you start to you get better and you get better and you get better, and then somehow this weird mistake starts happening, and I'm just like, let's just stop for a couple minutes, and then we go back to it, and all of a sudden the mistake is gone because your brain just needs that like little bit of time to reset, and because it's just like forgetting somehow your muscle memory is trying to say no, you need to do it this way, and so you do need that little break. That's perfect, yeah,
Yeah,
to
it's
do that.
and that is part of time management as well. Because if
Hmm.
your brain is exhausted, right? And this applies to all brains out there. If your brain is exhausted, you're not going to get quality work.
Right.
This is like a medical thing, okay?
Which is
Um
why I'm gonna get on my little soapbox here that nobody listens to is all-nighters for studying are a complete, utter waste of time and health. And I know so many people, but I did it, and because I did it, I passed a test. What would have been a better option?
you learn from the mistakes. With that said, again,
Yes.
playing devil's advocate here, some people do work better under that urgency. With that
Yes,
said, they're
but I
not going to
almost
retain that
guarantee they will
information
never retain that information because it becomes
past that
useless.
day of like
Yeah.
the test. So,
And
or
people that
incomplete
do work
information.
well under that are oftentimes I've known a lot of people like that, even in their 20s, are very unhealthy people, like physically unhealthy. They just because that's all they've done their whole life is stay up all night to study for things and then double their sleep the next day, and they're never productive
It's that
enough.
balance thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you have to think of your health over the grade you might get. I
mhm.
always did that. Did I make C's and D's on some tests? Yes, I did. Why? Because I refused to do that. If I didn't spend the time during the week to study, I was like, you know what? That's on me. But I'm not going to impact my health for it.
Yeah. And speaking of which, going into productivity and time management here, kind of touching on the book that I was talking about, Atomic Habits by James
Hmm.
Clear. So he talks about certain behaviors. He talks about, I mean, it's not only just a book on how to uh, transform bad habits into good ones. Um, he talks about how to improve 1% daily. He emphasizes that, in fact. And there's this, he calls it the loop, and which is cue, craving, response, reward. And one of the
Mm.
things that I loved about this focus loop, or not the focus loop, the habit loop, um, is it incentivizes, it triggers the intrinsic motivation, which also impacts your time management and getting tasks done. So the cue is a trigger that initiates the habit. So whether you want to, lose weight, whatever those goals are, right? Or try to get a task done and you don't want to do it, have something to cue. Like this can be like grabbing a glass of tea, glass of tea. Oh my gosh, a cup of tea, or start a song or whatever it may be. That is your cue to ignite, to start the task or do the habit or
So my
habit.
reward for working out is a chocolate cake.
That's a reward,
Maybe that's
sir.
not it.
That's a reward. 2, craving.
Oh yeah, that goes to cravings.
Chocolate
Dang,
cake,
darn it. Dang. Messes that up.
So what is the trigger? So what is the desire or motivation behind that habit or behind you in doing that task? So again, this is recognizing behaviors too. This is helping you, and also physically executing it too. 3, response. The response is the actual behavior. It's the actual habit, or when you're talking about like completing tasks, the actual task. Like, how are you going to do it? Identify that. And then he talks about the reward. What is the benefit or the outcome of that habit, of completing that task? And that reward, again, channels that intrinsic motivation, which is the motivation that is not influenced by outwards motivation like pay or getting disciplined by your principal or boss or by you if you are your own boss.
That's not a positive motivation. We don't want that.
No, it's a
we need
motivation
positive.
nonetheless. But the
Yeah.
intrinsic is something that is dear to you from the inside for personal gain, for your personal goals, for your like to make you satisfied as a human being, as a professional, or just in the personal life. So the habit loop is cue, craving, response, reward. And then he touches on the laws of behavioral change. So so the biggest takeaway, at least for me, being a neurodivergent mind, is, but I do feel like there's a way that you can modify this to fit you, my neurotypical brains out there. One is to make it obvious. Design your environment or highlight cues for what task you're going to start with, or those cues for changing the habits. So for an example, going to the gym. I know a lot of people want to go to the gym in the beginning of the new year, right? So place your gym clothes where you can see them as a reminder to exercise. Make it obvious. You'll fight yourself less.
Yeah.
2, make it attractive. Make the task attractive, especially when you know that there's a task that you just don't want to do for like whatever reason. Pair it with a habit that's something enjoyable to increase motivation. So one of the things is laundry. It's not so much that I don't like it. For some reason, I find it extremely overwhelming.
It can
So I try to avoid it. So what I do is, okay, all right, this is my anime time. I can understand Japanese. So I'll put on an anime on Crunchyroll. And then I'm like, okay, this is fun. Okay, yeah. Oh, and it becomes less overwhelming. So
Yeah.
make the task attractive.
There's another way I would admit I'm bad at this. I've been trying to create a new habit for like doing laundry. And what I said is at least one load of laundry every 2 days, which sounds crazy. But what that does is it one small to medium load every couple days, and then every now and then you have to do a big load.
Mm-hmm.
Means that you don't have to do all your laundry at once. And I was trying to make that a habit,
Making it
like meaning
smaller.
that is because habits have to be consistent. They can't
Mm-hmm.
just be when you get to them. They have to be every day, every other day, every week, every something. And I've been trying to do that. It doesn't always work, but
No, absolutely. Okay, I don't know what my mom just cooked, but it smells delicious. Sorry.
yeah. And it's about time to go anyway. So
Yeah. But just two more things. Two more things.
yes,
So we did
right.
make it obvious, make it attractive, and kind of along what you're saying, like doing smaller loads for doing it every 2 days.
Yeah.
Make it easy. Reduce the friction and lower the barrier to start the habit.
Mm-hmm.
Or to, if it's a big task, break it down. Right? Do like a little bit each day if you're able to do that. And then lastly, make it satisfying. So here, this is where we're going to use the rewards to reinforce that habit or to accomplish that task or goal and create positive feedback. So this is where tracking your progress, a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us are visual. Whenever we see the progress, you guys are going to lose stress. Okay? You get less anxious about it because just thinking about knowing you're doing something that you don't want to do creates stress and anxiety. But when you know that you're seeing like, okay, that task is getting smaller, well, not smaller so much, you're accomplishing, it's almost done. You're like, okay, and then that motivates you just to finish it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Cool. I do like this. I don't think I have read this book. I knew the summary of it, and it is really good. I probably should read this one.
Oh, highly recommend. It
Yeah,
is
an easy and
great.
proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. I bet I can prove you wrong, James. Just kidding.
You're a
I'll
hater.
keep doing my bad habits of like, yeah, no, it is doable. It's like almost it goes back to like every day. Just tell yourself like if you're trying to break a bad habit, those are hard. Like say it's drinking or it's eating too many sweets or it's something like that. It's usually a lot of our bad habits that we want to break are usually diet related, I find. So it's just every day, just when you get up, just say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have one day every day where I don't do X. And I'm interested to
Yeah,
read through that.
if there's
So,
two books that you guys want to read this year, about like self improvement, is How to Build a Second Brain, because you unload all the information that
mhm.
you've received and you're able to organize it. And two is Atomic Habits, because I've also read this book 3 times, because it helps overcome overwhelm for once. So you focus on the small steps. Two, you're creating a positive change. You're building better habits. You're doing an identity transformation. And also, yes, breaking bad habits, but also helps it. The book gives you science backed strategies on productivity, on boosting the productivities, give you the fundamentals of a system that you can once again modify, make it to you that fits your personal life, and again again leads to feeling less overwhelm. Also motivation and accountability. A lot of us needs to be held accountable based on our behaviors if we want to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. And then
That's
also
right.
overcoming plateaus. Like this book is a wonder. Like I'm not saying it's a one cure thing, but it gives you a great fundamental. Gives you the great not plateau, um, an introduction of what you can do.
Yeah. I like this one over books that are like 4 steps, 2, 3 steps. Nothing wrong with any of those books. Mainly for the reason like why. So my wife was getting into public speaking, and one of the things that she didn't want to do is this many steps to X many steps to Y. Because what happens is you go and watch a public speaker and they like, I've got 3 steps for you to be a better person, and you're so excited by the end of it, and the next day you're just like, what happened? I don't even know what that was about. I don't want to do anything they told me to do. And that's kind of fairly normal
Mm-hmm.
to be all excited for a minute because the crowd is excited and they're an exciting person to listen to, but it's not going to work for everyone. And I mean, to be honest, it's not going to work for a large number of people. Those steps will work. Now, books are a little bit better for this because you can kind of take it a little piece at a time. And I
Yeah.
love books like this that are just not talking about like, do this step first, then do this step, then do this step, and you'll be a better person. This is, yeah, so good for that.
Yeah, it's the same.
Um,
Like when you're like 5 steps, 8 steps, like all these things, and you're just like, no.
no thanks.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is intriguing to say the least, like because maybe there is a method or a step
Yeah.
that can genuinely help you, but for an author to say, follow this and you
Hmm.
will accomplish this is not great.
And not to say it doesn't happen, because like I said, those some of the other
They're
books that
different
you were talking
people.
about, they're doing a similar thing. They're talking about steps to or acronyms to do something, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because hey, look, AA works for a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who are alcoholics, and it's a 12-step program where like a lot of people are like, as soon as they heard 12 steps, they're just like, nope, I'll just keep being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
I
Anyway,
am I am putting links to Amazon if you guys are interested in just checking out those books. All the proceeds will go to this channel. Um how to build a second I can't spell build a second
hmm,
brain. Yeah, definitely check out these books. Um there you guys go. And until next time, we shall see you guys next Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific
yep.
time.
See y'all then.
See ya. Bye, guys.